I'm going to also say something controversial, so get ready, folks. Don't do training wheels. Skip the training wheels.
Welcome to the Home Comfort Zone podcast. I'm Theresa, Marketing Manager at All Comfort Services. Today I have Kristi GoForth with us, and she is the Executive Director of Bikes for Kids in Wisconsin.
Yeah, great.
Hi, Kristi.
Hi, Theresa. Wonderful to be here.
Great. It's so great to have you.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So I was curious about what Bikes for Kids is because I learned about you through the North Star neighborhood. They have a program with local law enforcement and Bikes for Kids.
Yeah.
So what is Bikes for Kids?
Yeah, Bikes for Kids Wisconsin. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've been around since 2017. We held our first bike giveaway event here in Madison, and we've evolved a lot since then. At that time, we only served children, and our mission was to see that kids were happy and healthy, and we really only served the city of Madison. So we've grown a lot. We now are throughout the state. We give bikes to all people, and our mission is more transportation equity, because bikes, while they are a great recreational option, they're fun, they're also a great low-cost mode of transportation. And so the people we serve are facing financial instability, and they're the people that can't afford to buy their own bikes. So we step in and help them, and because we think everybody should have an opportunity to own a bicycle.
Right, and you're located right here in this area.
Yeah, in Madison.
Madison, and so how did it get started? I mean, like, what was the genesis of that?
Yeah, so there's actually a national organization called Free Bikes for Kids, and a gentleman named Andy Quant started that chapter here. So there's about 12 chapters around the country, and he started that here. And their model was you don't have a permanent space. You just do this 10-week program of the bike giveaway event, and you don't have year-round employees. And so I started there in April of 2020. Do you remember what was going on?
COVID.
Yes, all the public transportation had just been shut down. People, like all these essential workers, could not figure out how to get to work. And so when I took the job, I immediately thought about expanding the mission, because I would have been a Bikes for Kids recipient myself. My parents were 16 when they dropped out of high school. My mom was a single mom and never rose above the poverty level. And I'm just so grateful that someone really kind of took her under their wing and gave her an old bicycle for me. And it was a hunk of junk, but I love that thing. And I wouldn't be here at this moment in this seat if it hadn't been for that bicycle. But so what we found with the Free Bikes for Kids was we just wanted to do more, and we wanted to serve all people. We wanted to have this transportation equity focus versus just fun. Fun is great, and we all deserve to have fun, but bikes are transportation, and that can go really deep. So we separated from that chapter in December of 23 and became Bikes for Kids Wisconsin. When I did start, we expanded to serving Dane County. Then within a couple years, we were serving southern Wisconsin, primarily Milwaukee and Racine. And then, we really decided to just go big and serve all of the state. And strategic partnerships were the key in that.
So how do you get the bikes, and how do the bikes get to the kids?
Yeah, so all of our bikes are donated. One question we get a lot is, how do you know these bikes haven't been stolen? And my response is typically, well, thieves don't usually steal a bike and then donate them to the children's charity. We're not seeing that happen. And everyone who donates a bike, we ask them, why are you donating? And, there are a host of reasons, from, I think of one bike that came in that was brand new, and it was just a really high-end, gorgeous bike, and asked them, why are you donating this? And they told us that their dad had brain cancer, and he bought this bike for when he got better, and that never happened, unfortunately. So they thought, we want to pay this forward and give someone else the opportunity. So it's things like that, or kids are constantly outgrowing bikes. So we collect about 2,500, 2,600 bikes a year. About 10% of those bikes can't be saved. They're in just too bad a shape. They've been left outside typically. And then we harness an incredible workforce of volunteer refurbishers. And they're people, a lot of people have no experience. They're just cleaning the bicycles. That's absolutely essential. And then we are a staff of 3. So I have 2 mechanics, Ben and Harvey. They're at the shop right now. And they're doing a tune-up on every single one of the bikes. So we have to have our professional staff doing that work. And then the way we distribute bikes, because, you know, our role in this is collecting the bikes, refurbishing the bikes, and then finding organizations to give the bikes to. So we're not finding 2,000 recipients a year. That would be just too complicated. So what we do is we ask public schools to apply for bikes, other 501c3 nonprofits. We now give to 5 tribes in northern Wisconsin, and sometimes municipalities will apply for bikes. So October 15th through December 15th is our bike application period, and organizations like that are serving financially challenged individuals can apply to receive a bicycle. And then we start that distribution process, kind of starts in January by announcing our distribution partners. And then there's also 3 ways they can get bicycles. So they can come to an in-person event in our parking lot, which is amazing and beautiful. Lots of happy tears, lots of incredible stories, lots of people learning to ride. But there's also a voucher program. So not everybody wants maybe 100 bikes at once, but they need 1 or 2 a week, like say a job center or a homeless shelter or a refugee network. So they could bring in a voucher and get their bicycle. And then for our partners that are more so out of Dane County, they do a bulk load pickup. So they bring a truck and we load the truck with the bikes, and then they take and then distribute at their site.
What kind of stories do you have about the kids, people getting those bikes and the impact that it's making?
Oh, there's so many. I'll think of one that was a young girl who had made her way here from Honduras with her mom. Harrowing journey. At the border, they did get separated. This girl was 12 and she got put into a youth camp. Fortunately, she and her mom were reunited and they made their way here to Madison, Wisconsin. And at this point, she'd only been here 3 weeks. She didn't speak any English. And she came with her principal and a bunch of other kids from that middle school. And when we gave her the bicycle, even though I know a little Spanish, happiness does not require a translation, it turns out. But what she did was she actually FaceTimed her grandma in Honduras, and she was showing her the bicycle. And many of us just looked at each other and we had tears in our eyes, because what we were witnessing was her getting a taste of the American dream and like what a lot of people think they're going to get when they get here. And it may be different than that. But in this circumstance, it was just absolutely beautiful. That's one example.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I know people are listening and thinking, where can I drop a bike off?
Yeah.
Not just Madison. Well, let's talk about Madison and then Wisconsin.
Yeah. So here in Madison, we're on the south side. So near Rimrock Road and the Beltline. The address is 354 Coyer Lane. That's COYIER. You can certainly find the information on our website at bikesforkidswi.org on the contact page. And otherwise, and you can bring your bikes when we're open. That works best. We're typically open Monday through Saturday. Right now, we're getting a lot of donations because people are thinking about the future and winter.
Right.
Winter is on its way here, and
cleaning
out your garage and making some space there.
Right.
So otherwise, if your bikes are broken, you can certainly drop them after hours. We aren't seeing people stealing the broken bikes, fortunately, but if you want to make sure they're safe and if they're gently used bikes, you want to bring those by when we're open. Otherwise, we have a satellite donation space in Neenah as well. So, and that's with a partner called Shop Dog Cycle. And so that one's a self-serve drop-off. So you can go, you can get your tax form, you can lock it up, and it works really slick there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you do any pickup for any large area, large amounts?
Yeah, we do. I'll tell you, we could employ probably 2 people 24/7, never getting to sleep, never getting a break, with the number of calls we get, usually from elderly people. I have a bike in my basement. Can you come and get it? Unfortunately, those bikes are probably 50 years old, and it would destroy us if we did that. So we typically tell them to call 1-800-GOT-JUNK. To do that.
Yeah.
They actually bring the bikes to us because that's what they do. They look for people doing circular economy like us, and so that works out well. But for apartment complexes, we do a pickup service. So we just bought our first bike bus, and we can fit about 40 adult size, full size bikes in there. We can easily fit about 50 kid-size bikes in there. But we will ask you to send some photos first, because like if they're all junk, I hate to call them junk, but some bikes are junk, and then we may just tell you to call 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They will charge you. But we're looking for bikes that are a little more gently used, that we can refurbish and either sell. We also started selling bikes as a way to fund this program, because this is transportation equity work. We're restoring vehicles, and they have to be safe. They have to be reliable. They have to be efficient. And it's costly work. You know, it's all of these parts. Even on a donated bicycle, you might bring in a kid bike, so no gears. Your kid might have loved that and rode the heck out of it, which is what we want to see. But you might see it needs new tubes, it needs new tires, probably needs new grips. We go through thousands of grips. If it was left outside, it's going to need a new chain, probably a new saddle as well. So those parts alone run $80 to $90. So, and that's not including the staff time of doing all that work and tuning those up. So yeah, it costs us about $150 to give a bike away, but we're really working in high quality bikes, bikes that have good bones. So these are frames and parts. They're all shop quality and brands you would recognize, Theresa. Like, let's see, what are some brands? Yes, Trek, Cannondale, Giant. We see a lot of Schwinn's, Specialized, Gary Fisher's, you know, all of those.
So then, you know, where does the money come from with to make this happen? Yeah,
it's a diverse array, but last year, I can give you our stats for last year, 36% came from grants, primarily for youth development. We do get some grants for our sustainability work. 30% came from individual donations, and 16% came from our bike sales. That was our first year of launching our bike sales. So what our goal is to really diversify our revenue stream and kind of see 30% across the board, and we are getting there. The other 12% was from sponsorships of events.
It's bikes for kids, but it's actually bikes for all
bikes
ages.
For all people, yes, yes.
And you know, we were talking before the show, and we were talking about how you notice there's a trend with kids not wanting to bike at a certain age.
What it is being too embarrassed to learn. So there's kids age out of learning to ride. So it's something, parents take note. So we see that number being around 11 or 12. And I've taught probably over 100 kids how to ride in our parking lot. There's also the issue, by 11 or 12, most kids are bigger than me. I'm 5'1", so a lot of them outweigh me and they're taller, and it can be trickier to teach and, you know, help them. So that's part of why we really focus on kids, because this is a life skill and you really need to learn it early. So I'm going to also say something controversial, so get ready, folks. Don't do training wheels. Skip the training wheels. Turns out training wheels were a terrible invention, and I never had them. I don't know. Did you have training wheels?
No, I didn't.
No, we just learned the hard way, right? I still have some scars, you know. And we don't love the falling either. You know, that can really scare some kids. But the invention today removes the kind of pieces from the problem instead of adding to the problem, which is what training wheels did. And that's the Strider bikes, or the balance bikes. So they have no pedals. And so you can start your kid on this. Some kids are ready to go at 1. We see a lot of kids at 2 loving the Striders, and they're so fun to watch them as their little feet are pushing. They're not falling. They're getting all those mechanics down. And then when they're sometimes you see these kids on these bikes, you don't even notice they don't have pedals because they're zooming so fast. That's when you know they're ready. So then they're ready for a little 12-inch bicycle, which is adorable.
And so do you rent those, or
the Striders?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're for sale. So typically they retail for about $70. We sell them at our shop for about $40.
Okay, so you can sell them.
Yep. We ended up getting a pallet of 300 of them from Target stores because a bunch of them are mismanufactured with crimped tubes. So when we open the boxes, some can't be saved, and we'll save the parts and we'll get rid of those parts. But we've built a bunch and we're selling those.
Because I was thinking they're kind of temporary. They might not, over a summer or a month or something, someone learns how to ride, and then they need the next bike. I was thinking, you know, could someone trade it in trade up or that kind of stuff with your program?
Yeah, well, what we see is a lot of kids passing them down from,
Oh yeah,
through the next kid. So a lot of parents, they're so small and
Yeah.
they're easy to store versus like a bigger bike with pedals and handlebars out here. They also come with a pedal kit. When you get into the slightly bigger sizes, so like a 14-inch. So then you snap the pedals on and you get
that's
the little
perfect.
foot pegs out of there. So then it gives you that couple other extra years.
Right.
Depending on the kids growing. My kids were really small and, but yeah, it's really important to teach your kids young. And, there is a formula and, you can head to our website. We've got some good tips on that.
So there's so many different things that it's all about bikes and never thought about how to get people to learn how to ride a bike.
Yes.
And, so then, there's also, we were talking about parts and things. And so your team has to source different parts and that can also be a challenge.
Yeah. There's been some strange things since COVID, right? And right during COVID, the thing we use the most, do you want to guess what it might be? The part we need the most?
Handles, was it?
It's grips. Yes, grips on the handlebars. Because if you think about that, right, we're greasy animals, we're sweaty, and just they're plastic. They break down, they get gooey and sticky, and sometimes they just get ripped up. And so almost every bike we get needs new grips. And so during COVID, we really struggled. Like grips just dropped off the face of the planet. We're like, well, how did COVID impact grips? We don't know. So we had to get really creative in our sourcing, going to places like eBay or Amazon or Marketplace. And so we've seen the grips come back around. Right now, what we're seeing is, well, it's largely due to tariffs. Bikes are going to get really expensive. So guess where all bikes are made? I mean, pretty much all bikes are made in China. Some very high-end brands are made here, but not very many. Those are bikes that are $10,000, $15,000. So, get your bikes now. But what we're seeing is really we're struggling to get the small tubes for little kids' bikes. So yeah, we're having to be really creative. But this is where, while we say we like gently used bikes, we do have our community bike disposal program because pretty much every bike that comes to us is of value in some way. Like if we can't save anything on that bike except pedals, that's two pedals that we don't have to buy. Maybe we could save the tubes. That's huge for us. We go through thousands. It's grips and tubes because there's two of them for each bike, right? Unless we're working on unicycles, which we've done. But so we really can take parts off a lot of bikes, and it's where this circular economy is just brilliant, and we love it because it saves us so much money from having to buy all those parts.
So what do we want to tell people? What would you like to tell people to, they've heard this, what would you like people to do to
be a part and to be a part of our community? You can do many things. You can volunteer, and we have kids as young as 8 that come with a parent or a caregiver or a grandparent. There are a lot of sharp parts around there. It's a manufacturing center, so you do have to, it's not good for every kid, but some kids really are, their minds are all about how do things work. That works great for them. You don't need any experience. All of the bikes need to be cleaned. We are on a mission to make sure we are giving the best quality bike we can because we're committed to the dignity of our recipients. We're not just going to give them junky old bikes that barely work. And we feel that's our reputation as well. You probably understand that in your line of work.
Right.
And so you can volunteer. Right now we go through our peak season of volunteering is basically November through March. So where we've got maybe 3,000 bikes that need to be refurbished. So our bike center is like a beehive in the winter. It might look quiet outside, but everybody's inside buzzing around on these bikes. Financial donations are huge. We talked about, the bikes don't roll out the door for free. So that's huge. And if you're an organization like a 501c3 nonprofit serving financially challenged individual, or you are with a public school, it's often the social workers. Some kids that are having truancy issues because they have no way to get to school. Maybe their parents are already at work and there's no busing. That's often who we serve there. Apply for bikes. Go to our page and you can read all about that process. Lastly, if you are blessed to have deep pockets, we're in a warehouse that is being gifted to us right now because it's slated to be torn down in 2 to 3 years. And it's 12,000 square feet. We're almost outgrowing it. If we could build our own, we'd have 20 to 25,000 square feet. What it is when you step in there, I mean, it's absolute madness because today I said to someone, it's almost like a food pantry, but instead of food everywhere, it's bicycles everywhere. And you're seeing it all be fixed. And it's like a community center as well. And we're building community around this thing that people here in Madison love. But when this gets torn down, right now our future is uncertain. And our warehouse doesn't have to be elaborate. Like we were talking about heating and cooling, and the bikes don't have to be heated and cooled. We just need our volunteer center and our educational center to be heated and cooled. We have a pretty robust educational center because what we've learned is, we're giving bikes to a lot of first generation bike owners. So if you imagine you never owned a car and no one in your family has owned a car, would you know it needs an oil change? Would you know that when the tire goes flat that you might have to change all the tires? That you might not know these things. And so we do a bike mechanics class. So we've graduated 46 kids as bike mechanics. This is so cool to watch. Just seeing all these kids, they are just all about it. And they're middle school kids and they love it. And, but yeah, so we need, so like imagine your name. If your name is Lewis, your last name, the Lewis Educational Center at Bikes for Kids. I mean, it would be beautiful. It would get so much use and it would be an incredible legacy. So we really need some help building that warehouse. We'd probably need like $3 million to acquire the land. We do have the site. It's right on a bike path. We want to partner with Bike Parks for Kids, who builds like bicycle playgrounds, and we'd have a bicycle playground. And we have the vision. We just need the financial support.
Well, I hope that this can help with
I
that
do
message.
Too.
Well, thank you for taking the time. It's a fantastic organization and helping so many people in our community.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.